I'd like to call the Advisory Committee on Accessibility and Inclusiveness for June 23rd, 2021 to order. I'd first like to know if there's any introduction of late items.
Thank you, Chair. We just have a note that for Agenda Item 6A, the Universal Design Workshop Feasibility Report, we're going to go with the recommendation in the staff report. The recommendation in the staff report and in the agenda front pages are different.
Okay, thank you. And can I have a mover for the adoption of the agenda? So moved by Rachel, so seconded by Linda. All those in favor? Motion passes. Can I have an adoption of minutes, please? So moved by Deborah, second by Rachel. All those in favor? Motion passes. So our first presentation tonight, though, is Reimagine Nanaimo, and that's with Karen Cronstow. So is Karen on?
Karen just phoned me and she was asking for the link to Zoom in. She actually went downstairs to the boardroom, so she'll be logging on any second now.
Yeah, I saw her name just pop up.
Oh, there she is.
My apologies, everyone. I got so excited. My invite said boardroom, and I thought I was going to be seeing you all in person, but not today.
So thank you, and I'll let you take it away, and I'm just going to mute myself.
Wonderful. If we could have the presentation, please. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Karen Cronstow. Hechka for coming today to this meeting, and I just want to acknowledge we're on the traditional territory of the Nanaimo First Nation, and I'm so pleased to be here today with an update on Reimagine Nanaimo, the city's coordinated strategic plan review. Next slide, please. This is just a short presentation because I know you have a very packed agenda, but we wanted to take the opportunity to give you an update on the project progress and also celebrate that we will be launching the engagement for Phase 2 this Monday and solicit all of your help in making Phase 2 as successful as Phase 1 was. So next slide, please. As many of you are aware, we wrapped up Phase 1 of Reimagine Nanaimo, otherwise known as Gathering Ideas, at the end of January 2020, and or 2021, I should say. And I hope you had a chance to see the Phase 1 engagement summary. If you didn't get a chance to see that, please let me know. I would be happy to remedy that because it was a fabulous document that really celebrated all the wonderful input that we got from our community. Now we're into Phase 2, Exploring Options, where we're looking at identifying and evaluating the different options for how our community can achieve its shared vision and goals. So while Phase 1 is the big blue sky, all the ideas, Phase 2 is a little bit more targeted on how we can achieve what we've heard about what is important to our community. Next slide, please. We heard many important themes over and over from the community. There were some unique ideas, but a lot of the ideas centered around the same themes: access to nature and outdoors, a waterfront identity, a green approach, and as the committee will appreciate, a supportive city and one that is equitable and inclusive. We also heard a lot about concerns about the affordability of the city and the importance of supporting each other as the city grows. Next slide, please. So as we move into Phase 2, we're going to be looking for community input on the 5 goals and the 24 indicators that have been identified through work with this committee and the other committees, as well as council and the team on the indicators that measure progress towards those goals. Another way of thinking about indicators is measuring tools, key performance indicators they're sometimes called, or even I like to say vital signs. So an example would be one of our goals is a healthy Nanaimo. One of the indicators is the vacancy rate. The scenarios are the different pathways we can take towards achieving our shared goals. So at first, Phase 2 will be focusing on getting community input on the goals and indicators, and then we'll be working to explore the scenarios through a few different routes. Next slide, please. This brings me to my invitation to the committee. You are invited as a committee to be part of this, either in a workshop that's solely dedicated towards yourselves. It could be online. It could potentially be in person, although that would be subject to COVID restrictions. And alternatively, you could participate individually in some of the public workshops that we'll be running from July until September. but that's something we can discuss at the end of this presentation. Next slide, please. Oh, and you're gonna have to hit that again to get that little circle. There we go. As we move into phase 2 public engagement, I just wanted to give the committee a little bit of information about all the different methods and means we are employing to make sure that as many people as possible participate in this process and find it accessible and inclusive for their level of interest and engagement. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, the phase 2 will be launching on Monday, June 28th, but we've actually already been working with the school district and with VIU because we realized with such a late date in June being the launch, we didn't want to miss the opportunity to work with students who might be leaving school for the summer. So our wonderful co-op students, Julia Mallory, along with our Parks and Open Space planner, Kirsty, have been working to do workshops with some of the high school students through things like student councils, and also with some of the younger kids distributing art kits that were then recollected and we're going to display in prominent city-affiliated spaces like the SARC building or the public libraries. So watch for that. I think it's really cool, and it adds a fun, creative element to this part of the process that can sometimes seem a bit technical. So that's ongoing. And then throughout the summer, we are going to have these workshops, which I mentioned, which will be primarily online, as well as some outreach and pop-ups as COVID restrictions allow. We would love to do what we did last year, which is go into public spaces where people already are, primarily outdoors, and tell them about Reimagine and ask them to get involved in a way that works for them and their families. This survey that we will be launching for the goals and indicators will open on the 28th of June. And then there's going to be a second, it's also called a feedback form. I guess survey sort of is kind of an overused word, but there'll be a second one that will be open in July once the scenarios become available to collect input on those. One of the challenges we have with this phase of the process is the scenarios can be a little bit complicated. So we are encouraging people, if they are able to participate in a workshop, to make sure they get a full explanation and understanding of what the scenarios are showing. But we recognize that won't be possible for everybody. And so we're going to try and create a more simplified version for the survey that people can fill out either online or in hard copy. Next slide, please. This is some digital outreach that the city is doing. Of course, we love to reach out to our subscribers through Get Involved. So if you have not already subscribed to the city's Get Involved platform, I encourage you to do so. But the city also has many people who follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And I'm pleased to say soon TikTok, because our co-op students will be launching a TikTok channel. Very exciting for those of you who are active on that platform. I won't give away any more about the launch. It will be very cool. Next slide, please. We will also be working on making sure those people who choose not to engage in social media also know through more traditional media sources like The Wave and The Wolf on the radio, some print ads, and ads in the bulletin and the traditional media releases. We know that not many people read our media releases, but they are a good way to reach the media, so hence the name. Next slide, please. As I said, we are putting up things as much as we can in public space. We would love to get back to a place where we can pop up and meet people in person. So that's a moving target. We're waiting for a few more announcements as to whether that will be possible. We are also putting up banners and posters. And when the COVID vaccination site opened at Beban, Kirsty in particular from Richard's team, but many others, were very helpful from Parks and Recreation about finding thoughtful, considerate ways to get involved, reimagine information at the vaccination site, recognizing it is a bit of a stressful situation for some people getting vaccinated, but it was also a place where people sat and waited for 15 minutes. So providing opportunities for people to pick up the reimagined information while they're there. Next slide, please. Stakeholder engagement, I'm just highlighting here that there are quite a few organizations we're working with, such as the Regional District, the Ministry of Transportation, BIU, School District 68, who are also engaged in their own planning processes. And we are very happy to be working with them, as well as our First Nations partners, Nanaimo First Nation, on ensuring that their planning processes align with ours and they know the full awareness of what we're up to. Next slide, please. And then with youth and student outreach, as I mentioned, we have these two wonderful co-op students, Julie and Mallory, and they are working on launching our TikTok channel. They've been working on with Kirsty at the school district and getting something lined up for VIU for September. And the library has been just wonderful in its partnership with cross promotion. Next slide. So that brings us to our discussion portion. Please advance again and move on to the next slide, please, where we talk about whether the committee would like, well, first I welcome any questions on the presentation, and whether we'd like to ask the committee how it would like to be involved during this next phase, aside from bombarding your friends and family with the survey links once it becomes available. So Chair, I turn it back to you, and welcome any questions.
Thank you. And if you can stop sharing the screen, otherwise I won't be able to see everybody. Perfect. So thank you so much for that presentation. And just before we get started, my sincere apologies. I overlooked that, recognizing that we are on the traditional territories as the Nanaimo First Nation, and we thank them. So now going forward, who would like to add to this conversation? We have Deborah.
I'd just like to hear more from Karen about the ways in which we can engage, and maybe just some more details upon that. That'd be helpful.
Thank you, Deborah. And we really appreciate all the work that the community organizations you're all affiliated with, or many of you are affiliated with, did with spreading the word about phase 1. And we're hoping to take a similar approach in phase 2 with getting the information out through our community partners about the opportunity to do the online surveys, feedback forums, or sign up for the workshops. And we're also interested, if you see opportunity for a more targeted approach with the clients you work with who you think for whom this online survey will not work, please let us know, and we're happy to work with you on a tailored approach for something that you think will be most appropriate. Obviously, we have some challenges with in-person meetings right now, but we're hoping that won't be the case for the whole summer. And in terms of your networks, please let them know that the survey has some prizes affiliated with it in terms of draw prizes. We know for some folks that can be an incentive as well.
Thank you. And Jocelyn.
Thanks for the presentation. It begged the question, it always does for me, when there's one-to-one or outreach in person, whether you miss the people who aren't able to get out in that area. And I don't have brilliant ideas on that other than all the network ways that we reach those folks, through our networks. But I know Outdoor Play Day is this summer, and that might be a good opportunity to have a booth or something that at Westwood where, because a lot of the activities are tailored to people with disabilities or physical disabilities at least. So, parents and adults and stuff. So might be worth a look.
That's through the chair. That's a fabulous idea. Thank you for that, Jocelyn, and we will make note of that. And another option that I neglected to mention in my previous response to Deborah, if there is a meeting or an event that you are already hosting and you would like resources or a staff person to come and talk about Reimagine, we are more than happy to piggyback on existing events. We love to do that when we have the opportunity.
Deborah.
Sorry, Karen, one more question. Is there any coordination with this and the Mayor's Leadership Roundtable? Just thinking in some of the activities that are happening there, that there could be some really great connections made.
That is a fabulous question. I know the answer is yes, but because my manager, Lisa, is more directly involved, I'll defer to her to answer that question.
Oh, hi, Deborah. Hi, everyone. Deborah, as you know, the donut economics is part of the Mayor's Roundtable, as are a range of other topics, including economic development, asset management, youth engagement, and all of these are integrated with the Reimagine process. And I see the Mayor's Roundtable as an opportunity, and I think I did give a nod and a shout out for Reimagine Phase 2 during my presentation to the Mayor's Roundtable. Now, the Mayor's Roundtable doesn't meet as frequently, but we'll be using that as a venue to promote Reimagine. So there's definitely that integration, because all the elements of the roundtable are the aspects of how we're working with Reimagine. I hope that helps.
Do we have any other speakers to this phase of Reimagine? So in the agenda package, there is about the donut economy. We're continuing with that?
Yes, Chair, we are continuing with it. We knew we had a
Yes.
packed agenda, so we didn't want to get too much into the weeds, but we did want to give the committee a copy of the city portrait that was received by Council on the 14th of June. Now, Council did make some motions at that meeting that are not totally reflected in this version because I had to submit the materials in advance of that meeting. However, I'm happy to give an update on what those motions were, or if that's too much detail, the committee can look back at that meeting if they choose.
Okay, thank you. And I'm just wondering, did reading the donut economy, did it raise any questions, or is this something we want to have a short conversation about right now before we move into reports? If anybody wanted to add anything?
Through the chair.
Lisa, yes.
I just wanted to mention that as part of our, Karen, I apologize, I was a little bit late, I was at a prior meeting. One of the first aspects of the phase 2 engagement, we'll be asking people questions about the donut and asking for their response on that framework, and also an opportunity for this committee and others to give feedback and reconfirmation on some of the goals and indicators as well. So, and we will have opportunity, is this your last meeting? There's one more meeting, right? Before the end of the summer?
One more meeting.
Yeah, that's right. So we can, if there's a desire, come back to you after that survey is launched on the 28th, if there's anything special this committee would like to provide feedback on. But we're hoping that we're providing a range of different options as Karen outlined. So the donut, I think, will watch on Monday, and you'll have an opportunity, everybody will have an opportunity to give feedback on that.
Thank you. So if there's no further speakers in, I'll move on to reports, which is the Universal Design Workshop Feasibility. And I understand that Lynn Work will be introducing this.
Yes, I'd like to introduce myself because I'm presenting this report. So here I am, Lynn Work. So you'll remember at the last meeting, we heard that Spinal Cord BC was offering up an opportunity to take the Universal Design Workshop. So we had staff do some looking into this and discovered that it's an introductory course that informs on universal design, the difference between accessible building codes and designs and universal design. It teaches about common barriers in the built environment, some common dimensions and designs that will improve universal use of facilities, goes into why marketing of universal design is important, talks about the economic benefits of universal design, some key elements of universal design in the built environment, how to prioritize ways of thinking for planning, repair, and renovation, practical tips for carrying out this work, and as well, it also talks about universal access to programming as well. So we think that it's a very valuable course, and we also learned that this committee has a budget of $5,000, and the cost for this course is $1,250. So the recommendation is that the Advisory Committee on Accessibility and Inclusiveness approve funding of $1,250 from the committee's annual budget for the Universal Design Workshop to be attended by up to 14 committee members and or staff.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yes. Let's see if we've got any questions. If not questions, a mover.
Can I ask,
Jocelyn.
I work for Spinal Cord Injury BC, so should I excuse myself from the vote? Or
I think so, just under perception. So
Yes.
you can just say that you're abstaining. Or,
okay.
So Jocelyn. Sorry,
yes.
Chair, I just want to jump in here. Yes, so Jocelyn, we'll just need to put you in the waiting room, and then we'll bring you back in after the vote. So I can do that now.
Okay, I think I saw Linda. You're muted, Linda.
Yeah, I would think I'd have Zoom by now, right? I was just moving the motion.
Thank you.
Yes.
Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Adrian. And do we have anybody that wants to speak to this, or the report was really well written and it, I think, provided lots of good information? I think lots of people would like to get out in the sunshine. Oh, Lynn.
Just through the chair to the committee, I just wonder if how we want to go about deciding which committee members are interested in participating in the course.
Right now, we've got a motion on the table.
Oh, sorry.
So let's go through the motion and then we'll get into that discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
I looked at that video. It's choppy.
I see no further speakers.
I thought the same thing.
Oh, Sheila. Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Sarah Cameron, in favor.
Thank you, Sarah. And any opposed? No opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Lynn. Thank you.
Oh, so just through the chair to the committee, I just wondered how we're going to get a list of who's interested in attending from the committee so that we can actually do the planning of the course.
I may suggest that we send out an invite and see who responds. How many people do we have on our committee altogether? Through to Sky, maybe?
Thank you. There are 9 committee members.
Okay.
Plus 2 of so 11 total members, including the 2 councillors.
So it might be as easy as just sending out an invite and if everybody wants to participate, it looks like we may have the capacity to do that. Does that sound good to everybody? Simple. Next, we have removal. A second, let me get to my agenda here. The removal of garbage and recycling cans from sidewalks, and I believe Mr. Sims is here.
I think Mr. Sims might
Jamie.
not be around. You guys unfortunately get his understudy, me.
Hi, Jamie.
Afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. So this report we brought back as a response to a motion from, I think it was late last year. There was a discussion around garbage and garbage receptacles that are recycling bins in sidewalks, and the motion was to create a bylaw that prohibited such things. We actually went back and reviewed our existing bylaws and found that there's 2 that actually speak to this, and based on our understanding, we feel that there's enough, I guess, legislation in place to manage the issue should it be encountered. We just need to ensure that everybody's aware that if it's something that they come across, they just need to let our bylaw services know, and they'll be able to follow up with the resident or the individual that seems to have left something behind. So I'm happy to answer any questions or discuss it further.
Thank you, Jamie. Does anybody have any questions? I noted it in the report, and of course we have many bylaws, and of course bylaws are complaints driven. If it's not brought to the attention of the department and they're not aware of it, then it really can't get fixed. I did have a question for you, Jamie, if I may. Where are you? There you are. I'm wondering, when we send out our information, right, when it comes to our recycling and garbage and pickup, I'm trying to remember, have we really brought it to the forefront of education of it not being on sidewalks? Is this something that we need to re-educate the public on?
I will have to double check that, but with the migration to automated service, there's been a pretty significant amount of public information going out with them. We've had to address a lot of issues that have resulted from the conflicts with on-street parking and where to place your receptacle and how close you can place it and when does it need to be clear for pickup for the equipment. And so I am pretty confident that we've got that information out there, but I can definitely circle back with our sanitation department and make sure that through the next round of schedule updates and information dispersal, we can include that. Okay, thank you. Councillor Armstrong, was there anything that you wanted to add to this one?
No, I just try and keep track of it online.
Okay. Adrian.
I was just going to say, it sounds like it might be a good opportunity for TikTok video.
Oh, how creative are you? Well, I think it would be great. That we have somebody working on things like that. So yeah, I think that's
I'm not the most creative, but the co-op students sound like they might be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Richard.
I'm kind of wondering if by practice, the people that are actually picking up the recycling and garbage cans, if they are actively not doing that either.
Can you go further? What I'm not quite sure what you meant.
Like if they're picking up the actual receptacles and such and putting it on the sidewalk or whatever it may be. Like if it's
so I think it's fair to say that if they can, so the way the equipment works, they've got a little bit of ability to sort of go closer or farther from the truck, but they can't move the truck while they're holding the receptacle. So if they can shorten up their reach and place it in a position that's not in the sidewalk, I'm quite certain they are sort of directed to do that. But if they have to move it sort of forward or back along the road, like to the left or the right, I don't know if they have the ability to do that. It's probably outside of their safety processes to drive with a receptacle in hand. So right. I think they do the best they can, I guess is the short answer.
Yeah.
Thank you. If we don't have any further speakers, I will move on to our next items here, which is under other business, and that's the Disability Alliance BC grants and Lynn work.
Thank you. So some information was attached to the agenda on the Disability Alliance BC grant opportunity that will be coming up closer to the fall. And the information was just provided for you to take a look at, and perhaps the committee might be interested in considering a project that we could apply for through this grant fund. And so I'm not sure if you wanted to throw a few ideas around today or maybe come back to the next meeting with some ideas, but I think my understanding is that the grant applications will be available in September.
Oh, okay. So we do have some time on this. Richard, do you still have your hand up? Did you wish to speak to this? No? Okay, thank you. Sky.
Yes, just through the chair, I just wanted to clarify that the next advisory committee meeting is September 22nd. So I'm not sure what the deadline is for those grants, but that is our next meeting.
Oh, I thought we had one next month for some reason. Okay. Well, anybody have any thoughts about this? Is this something we want to shoot some ideas? Jocelyn, I see your hand up.
I've written a few of these grants, and I would suggest an idea be conceived in advance of the announcement, mostly because it is fairly competitive in the disability kind of accessibility and inclusion sphere. And I think they tend to lean toward projects that that really include folks in the community more, or in their environment, or in the workforce. And some of those things involve partnering and working that stuff out. So just from my experience, it can be a bit of a mad dash to the deadline of that one. And yeah.
Thank you for that, Jocelyn. I'm just going to go to Lynn about, is there any projects or anything that we as a city that this would be able to fit the criteria?
So through the chair to the committee, I haven't been able to see the criteria yet. I don't think I'll see them until the grant actually becomes available. But one thing that I was thinking about is we need to develop some indicators for how well the city's doing in terms of accessibility and inclusion for the Reimagine process. And so I just wondered if that was a potential project maybe.
Okay. Thoughts from anyone? I think, Jocelyn, and then Deborah.
Might be worth, I believe the successful grants from last year's competition are online. So it might be worth having a look. I can't offhand remember how, whether the first 2 years of that one were pretty similar. And I can't offhand remember whether that kind of administration and measuring component, very important, but whether that was within or without the scope. But the awarded projects on their website might tell you that.
Perfect.
And I'm pretty sure I have a copy of the last competition I can send you if you can't find it. I don't know if it covers infrastructure, but I'm just thinking about the sort of parks and community centers and like the things that would make more opportunities for people with a variety of disabilities to access existing programs or locations.
Or accessibility, yeah. Thank you. Linda. Oh, did I miss Deborah? I'm sorry.
No worries. It's okay.
Deborah,
I was just
and then Linda.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if we knew what other kinds of projects had been approved in the past. So Jocelyn's already spoken to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda.
I just had a quick look, and I've seen this come by at work, and it seems to me, and Jocelyn, maybe you can speak to this, that it's activity focused and often arts focused. And the projects I just looked at seem to be, as Jocelyn said, really involving people with disabilities in an activity or a program.
Okay. Thank you. Jocelyn.
I think there were some arts ones funded last time, if I remember correctly, but the ones I was involved in were tourism related, inclusion in the tourism sector, and opportunities to participate around BC, people with disabilities acting as sort of ambassadors and auditors to make sure their communities are inclusive and welcoming, that kind of thing. And I know that at least one project was funded in the first round that was related to inclusion in the workforce. So I don't think it has to be a specific activity, but it is not like millions of dollars. And I think they are really hoping for something quite focused that has a discrete end. So that's all I really remember, though.
Thank you. Linda.
I just, I noticed that in 2018, there were quite a few projects funded at 40,000, which I think is the max. And in 2019, it was more with 35,000 and a couple at 15. So sometimes there's a sweet spot in grants at what organizations fund. So that's a area to target or an amount to target.
Thank you. Seeing no further speakers, we'll move on to the next item under 7B.
Richard wants to talk.
Richard, where are you,
Hi.
Richard?
Hi.
Oh, there you are.
I was just kind of thinking, like, since it has like something to do with possibly the arts area, those sculptures downtown, what if we were to like have like in the next call for artists or something that like artists from like a disability background or like indigenous background or like different backgrounds altogether, LGBTQ background, are maybe profiled or something?
I like that. Have any artists in mind, Richard?
I would not apply because of conflict of interest, obviously. But
No,
yeah,
you're a fabulous artist, though. But no, that's a wonderful idea. Okay, seeing no further speakers now, I'll move on to 7B, Leisure Economic Access Pass, our LEAP recommendations update. And over to you, Lynn.
Thank you. Through the chair to the committee. This is just an informational item to let you know that all of the recommendations that got taken forward to council after our last meeting were approved by council. So staff is now forming a small working group for implementation. So we're moving on to phase 4 of the LEAP review. And the majority of the recommendations should be ready and be implemented by September. And then we still had 4 recommendations that we'll be doing some further exploration on as part of the process of switching things up with the program. And council was, I believe, although we have 2 council members here who can speak to it, I think they felt quite impressed with these recommendations and happy to see that these positive changes will be happening.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lynn. Is there any questions from the report? Or the other business, sorry. And 7C, recommendations from Sarah Cameron, update, and Lynn.
Thank you. Through the chair to the committee, just another informational piece that council moved and seconded that the recommendations from Sarah Cameron be referred to staff for a report. So there will be a report forthcoming. I'm not sure what the timeline is for that, but I'm thinking it'll probably be ready before our next ACAI meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Sarah, could I ask a question, just a point of information?
Yes.
I'm just wondering who the staff, what department that is, if they would want to consult with anyone else in the community, whether me or not myself. That doesn't matter, but just in order to create that report, I understand they're looking into the feasibility, possibly the costs and whatnot, or what it would take to roll it out from the staff perspective. But also maybe they have the way that a couple of the recommendations were worded, it sort of sounded quite monumental or monolithic. And I just thought it might be helpful to clarify how simple that a couple of them could be.
Thank you for that, Sarah. And I'll look to Lynn for response.
Thank you. Through the chair to the committee, I'm sure that whichever staff are doing the research and writing the report would be happy to use any local resources for information. So I don't know who the report writing is being assigned to yet, but I can certainly make a suggestion that they connect with different resources in the community.
That's fantastic. And also I volunteer, myself up for that, but there's other resources they could look up, I suppose. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I see Deborah?
Yes, and just to follow up with what Sarah said, Nanaimo Family Life has a very close working relationship with Transcare BC, lots of resources. So we would also be very happy to help the staff of the city look into this if you need any background information for their rationales or anything of the sort.
Thank you, Deborah. Oh, Richard, you have your hand up.
I think I'm clapping, but I meant to just raise my hand. But to Sarah and Deborah, actually, I'll be working. It'll be me helping coordinate with a few departments on this, and so to Deborah and Sarah, I appreciate that. We'll definitely be reaching out to you, and it's just to kind of take it and put it into a scope that we can work through some of these recommendations and bring them back in a timely manner to council.
Thank you, Richard.
I appreciate the offer, and that'd be great. We'll also be trying to, and then some real questions we can also bring back to the full committee too.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further speakers, I would say then to everybody, let's have a fantastic summer. Stay safe, but have lots of fun in the sun. And I think we can be out and about, and happy Canada Day to everybody. And I will see everybody in September. So can I have a motion to adjourn? So moved by Councillor Armstrong, seconded by Linda. All those in favor? Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great summer.
Bye.